Good morning.
It's a good one.
Mm. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Hey, did you all try out yesterday? Creating the scenario, executing, everything working fine? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. All right. So in a minute, we'll get started with recap of yesterday's topics and we'll do some scenarios today as well. Okay. Okay. Let's get started. Recap. Yesterday, we were looking at the base class and also some environment related properties. Correct? We finished the reports. Hmm? We saw how to put the uh, environment specific properties in a properties file. Okay. And in our base class, we saw how to read the property file based on the environment we have to read. Okay. Now, if the environment we give here, we created a global environment. If the environment we give is prod, then what happens? Tell me.
Takes that prod and
Correct. It will go to the
the prod
prod
dot
properties file.
properties.
Correct. And it will fetch the value, required values. If the environment we give is QA, okay, it'll go to QA properties and fetch the value. One caveat, okay, we all have to understand this. There is a, a kind of like a tight coupling, okay, you have to understand, between what we give here as the environment and the name of the properties file. You have to understand this. Clear? So if I give some random thing here, for example, instead of prod, I give production, it won't work. Why? Because it'll try to find a file by the name production.properties, which it doesn't get. So what should happen? Tell me. The name of the file and the environment name should be the same. Okay, that is the caveat. I hope everybody got this. Hmm? Then what else did we do? Yes, we fetched the values for the URL, the organization, owner, token, everything, and we set all of these properties. And then we executed the scenarios. Clear? Not only that, because this is something that the property value, getting the property value is something that we will do quite often. What we did is we created a utility method in the generic utils. We created a utility method that will, whenever we give the environment and the key, it will return to us the value for that specific key under the environment. Okay. So these are some of the modifications we did yesterday. All right. And I'd asked you to create this get public valid repo without token. Did you all do it? Executing.
Yes, sir, with valid is executing.
All right. Fantastic. There are a couple of other optimizations that we have to see today. Okay. We will start with one of the optimization, which is in the base class. We still have to do this. All of you observe. We have set the base URI, correct? We have set the base URI, but there are a couple of other things that need to be set also. For example, if you remember in our optimizations, class 16 optimization, there was one header validation. There was one header validation that we did. Do you remember this? Response specification builder and also the logging optimization. Do you
Yeah.
remember this?
Yeah.
Right? So we'll start with the header validation. Okay, we have to build the response specification builder and we need to set the headers and then say rest assured builder.build. This is the code that we have to add in our framework. Okay, so what we have to do is I'll copy this and I'll put it here, the response specification builder, which I have to import, and matchers I have to import or hamcrest. But here the validations that we will do for GitHub, one obviously is the server. Server is something that we have to validate. Okay, and the server would be GitHub. If we see the server, where is the server? Correct. Server says github.com. This is something that we have to validate, server. And the other one that we will validate would be, okay, the X rate limit. Okay, here's the thing. We can't put X rate limit, unfortunately. Ha. Okay, we'll do the server validation first. Okay, I'll tell you why we can't put the rate limit. The reason I can't put rate limit is because you can see here, rate limit says 60. If I scroll up for the other request where I had passed in the token, the rate limit is 5,000. So if I pass the token, rate limit is different. If I don't pass the token, rate limit is different. So we can't validate the rate limit. Clear? So I'll just do the validation for the server. So I've added only the server validation, response specification builder, builder.build, and let me execute the get reports. Okay, get reports I should run, and it should validate and there should be no failures. Now, if I go to base class and let's say I modify this to a capital G, instead of small g, I'll put it as capital G, and I go back to executing any of the tests, everything will fail. See, all the three failed. And the reason why it is failing is because, tell me why, server was not github.com, but was small g, github.com. So header is automatically getting validated. Is everybody clear with this? Okay. So I want you all to add before class, response specification builder, add the builder and builder.build, set the response specification. Okay. All of you try this out after base URI. Set the response specification, but you can put it either ways. You can put it before or after, it'll work. Okay. These three lines add to before class in base class, execute and let me know. Does everybody understand why we are adding here? Is everybody clear why we are adding the response specification builder here in the base before class?
So it's still a little bit confused, sir. Can you just read?
Every response, we have to validate the header of for the server and it should be always github.com, irrespective of which endpoint we execute. Okay.
Okay.
The response header server should always be github.com. It will not change. So instead of adding it in every scenario, instead of adding here in every scenario, what we will do, we will add it once in before class. So
Okay.
whenever we are executing, it will automatically validate. Okay.
Okay.
Sir, what exactly you are keeping in base class and running, sir?
Sorry,
What exactly, which code you have kept in base class?
this one. We just started this code
Okay, okay. Prior
in
to
base
this,
class
what
before
all?
class.
Okay, got it. And before to this, what other code is present?
Nothing. This is today's code.
Uh-huh.
It started from this only today. We didn't
No,
add
no.
anything.
Excluding today's, what else is there? Just wanted to.
All of this is in base class. Before suite, after class, before method, after method, before class. Everything is in base class.
Okay.
Yesterday you were not there, Rupa?
Yeah, I was present, sir. No, something has messed up in my frameworks. Few things
Okay. I
I
think
have
in
not.
Slack yesterday I gave base class also. So in case something
I
is
think.
messed up, just take the base class and then replace with the file that you have.
Okay, okay, I'll
Okay.
take it from there. Okay.
Yeah, sure. And this is the only code that we have added today. Nothing else. We have started with this. Okay.
And one more question, generic question. Yeah, so if you in real time only this API or automation, is it sufficient with, do you feel like only we are
Mhm.
considered testing only APIs and no other stuff? Is
See, the
that
point
the
is this.
scenarios in real time?
The point is this. You might for your product have UI automation also. Okay. But what we have to understand is when we validate the APIs, when we automate the APIs and we execute the APIs, automation suite, okay, majority of the functionalities will be tested. Okay. The only part that you cannot test is any validation that is present on the front end side. See, a lot of times what happens, the front end will have some validation. For example, password text box should be mandatorily minimum 8 characters. Those kind of JavaScript front end related validations will be there. Those, okay, you might have to write a UI script to automate. But for the rest of the functionality, when I mean functionality, I'm talking about business functionality, the business logic, application logic. Everything will be tested in API.
Okay, okay. That UI part also can be accommodate those validation also in the current framework.
You will have to write some Selenium scripts or some Playwright scripts or any other
Okay, but
tool.
still we can integrate, you mean?
You can definitely, but we
Okay.
don't. You can, but we don't.
So
There
that
is a
is not
reason.
recommended.
Is not recommended. Reason is, like I told you, if you remember, I had one diagram that I showed you. Do you remember the diagram where, okay, not here. I think I put it in Slack. I showed you a diagram which actually tells you how the automation is carried out. This one. Okay, if you remember this diagram, developers left shift. Developers, when they actually write any code, new or enhancements or bug fix or whatever it is, they will run our API tests. They cannot run the UI tests because UI test will take a lot of time to run to check whether functionality that they have enhanced or the bugs they have fixed is not impacting the existing feature. If you run the UI tests, it'll take a lot of time. Plus, UI tests are flaky. Okay. If it passes, you don't know whether it's truly passed. If it fails, you don't know whether it's an application issue or your script issue. APIs are not like that. Okay. So if I integrate both API and UI into the same framework, okay. Say for example, I put both UI, Selenium and API in the same framework. When I ask it to run, I'll have to differentiate or run only API. You can keep everything in one, but it becomes difficult for you to manage. Okay. APIs run very fast. So you will get back the response within hardly a minute and a half, and the feedback loop is much faster. That is the reason why we have separate API. And to give you an honest opinion, in the product industry, I hardly see UI automation done or whatever our QA engineers are doing for the past, I don't know, 7, 8 years. Since 2019, our QA engineers, they've all been concentrating on API, pure API automation. UI automation and all, we have left it far behind. For us, API is enough. Okay.
Okay, and yeah, I think this is the second time I'm asking. So database validation also we can
Mhm.
include here, right? With some
You
methods,
can, like I told you last time, you asked the same question. I
same question,
answered the
yeah.
way slightly differently. I told yes, you can, but you should not, primarily because you would want to ensure that your APIs are working fine. Okay. The API itself is a layer that you are testing. If you want to combine database and test it, yes, but you should not compare the API and the database to test it.
But
Okay.
if you see in real time, when
Hmm,
you hit any API, some response is coming, but definitely
correct.
they will store in database.
That
And
is, response is, please understand, response is not something that is always stored in the database that you are getting. The
in
response that you are
case,
getting could be coming from cache.
okay, okay.
I think I had put a
First time
diagram for
for the
that
first,
also.
yeah, I got that. First time, the
Uh,
second time when it is coming, it might come from cache. But for the first time, very first time when it hit, at least
no,
some
not
record will
necessarily.
be some. When you add something, when you hit some API,
Yeah,
when
that will
you
be stored in database,
do
correct?
post for
Hmm,
post method, so something
correct,
will be some outcome will be there, which will be stored into database. And
correct.
so,
But
is
I'll
there?
ask you one question. I'll ask you one question. You
Mhm.
have raised a very valid point. Okay. So let's say I create some entity. Okay, I'm taking the term entity specifically here. I'm not using user, etc. The reason I'll tell you, let's say I create one entity. Okay. Now this is your table, database table. There won't be one table. There will be n number of tables in your schema, correct?
Correct, correct, yeah,
Okay.
I
The
agree.
the form data that you pass will not be saved in one that entity can save the data into multiple tables. Correct.
Correct.
Hmm? Now, when you have to test it, you will have to query all of them and test it, whether
No,
that
no,
particular
no.
information is percolating to all of them.
I want maybe the final one, the one main one I want to check. Okay. Or even if I want to, if even if I want, if I'm
Hmm.
validating also separately, I
Hmm.
can query each of the table and
You
validate
can,
whatever data I
you
am
can.
looking.
Yes, yes, you can. But how do you ensure? Okay, let's say, for example, you wrote a database query and you asked it to verify. Okay, you added some entity, your API is adding some entity. Okay, and it is there in the database. What is that you have concluded? You have concluded the API is working fine. But my question is,
No,
I'll
only
do a
see
post.
yeah, when you
Hmm.
do a post method, maybe if you are
Hmm.
adding any record, say
Hmm.
traveler information, something you are adding, okay,
Hmm.
the final receipt number or the final order which is placed, whatever, that number
Hmm.
I will be verifying, or along with that, maybe one some other field. That's all, nothing much. Okay, not I don't want entire things to validate from
Correct.
the
Now the
database.
point
Only
is this.
one or two fields. That's all.
Correct. The point is this. See, when I run, for example, let me do this. Create a repository. I'm going to run this. Okay. When I run this, I also get a response. You have observed, right? I'll also get one response. In the response, I will have one name. Whatever I passed here, I have the name in the response. Okay. Whatever the server is giving me back, that particular response also has the information, correct? Now, what you're saying is I will go and verify that in the database. By all means, you can. But the point is this.
The
Okay.
responses
When
having
I
the
do the
name.
post request,
Mhm.
okay, and I get back a response, I am validating the API part. Okay. Now I can do a GET request for the same, check the response, and verify if actually the record is in the database. Because if I do a GET request, it has to fetch from the database and cache,
Correct.
right? So in API testing world, what we do is we use this combination. We do a post, then we do a GET, and we check if everything is okay. Done. The point you have to understand is I have no way of saying whatever the developer developed. Okay, whatever the queries that he has recorded, that he has inserted, whether he is inserting into the correct tables or not. You can verify one table, but it could be that he further has to put it in other tables, which you may not know unless you are purely testing database and they tell you explicitly these are all the tables that are going to be impacted. So now that a whole concentration is now on purely database testing, it's got nothing to do with API. You have to understand this. When you are doing database testing, you have to concentrate on database testing. When you are doing API testing, you have to concentrate on API testing. If you merge both of them together, it's a big entity now, both API testing and database testing. Plus, every database hit is a cost. You have to understand. Architects, I'm I'm telling you the experience from product companies. I'm telling you, architects think 10 times before they allow you to hit the database even once. You can go and check out in any organization. If you tell, hey, I want to hit the database 10 times, they'll tell you, go get lost. Every single
Yeah.
hit to the database is a cost. And
Maybe in service
architects
based,
are
they
responsible
allow
for the
this,
cost.
sir. No,
Sorry?
no, in service based, I don't think there's a constraint to hit database.
No, you are mistaken. They also
No,
have to
but
work on
see,
cost, right?
not about the or the legacy ones. They might allow. I don't think they put a constraint. Maybe the AWS part, which is in the latest cloud.
Everything is on the cloud
There,
now, right? And plus, you have the distributed mechanisms. See, there are a lot of layers. We have to understand the architecture
but
layers.
still, when
See,
they
you will have the
want
database.
testing team to
Uh,
test all this, they might give some
See, I'm
what do you
not
call
saying you should not.
liberty to.
Again, I'm coming back to the point. I'm not saying you should not test the database. What I'm saying is don't club API testing and database testing. You're
No,
you're going to
yeah,
be
I
impacting.
got your
Yeah.
point, but see, but
Mm,
maybe this is what I felt like in real time. There could be, as you
mhm,
told, like even UI part is also there. If you take up any application, everything will be there.
mhm.
API, database,
Correct.
it's as a whole when it comes to end-to-end testing. Maybe
Mhm,
everything, even devices, everything will be
mhm,
involved. Like other like too many
mhm,
applications will be combined together, upstream, downstream. Okay. In that case, even if you take one particular team or application also, that could be interconnected with UI as well as the
mhm,
API and
mhm,
the database also. In that
mhm.
point context, I was referring. So, is there a way where we can cover database also here? You're telling no, not to go with that.
I am saying explicitly not to go with database testing for like the valid reasons I gave you. Okay. Because if you are testing the API, better test the API. Okay. And if you want, if the developer says, I'm okay for you to test the database, by all means, you can test it. But what we have to understand here is how are you going to integrate those? I can put the, after this, after let's say I have this create repo, and as a part of this, I will go and check in the database if it works fine or not. If the record is existing or not, I can put it here. I'm not saying no. But the problem I'm coming back to again is, okay, there are so many different parts to this database. For normal APIs, yes, you can. For example, I want to execute this create. I will go record test, but you have to understand, you should know which all tables to verify. Second, there will be many entities that have asynchronous operations. Okay. So when you do an API hit, it could be an asynchronous operation. So you should know whether that asynchronous operation is a backend job. Is it something that is a part of the queuing mechanism? Okay. For example, I may have Kafka topics. I may be sending an API request to a Apache Kafka. The Kafka topic will be read by another entity that will do the operation and then save it in the database. Okay, so you understand now there could be an Elasticsearch component,
Mm.
there could be a Redis cache component, there could be a
No.
topic like an
It's
Apache
before.
Kafka.
See, when you are referring this Apache Kafka, so
Hmm,
before they store into when they what you call send try to fetch in batches, when they try to process in batches before you send it
hmm,
into any database, at that
hmm.
point of time there could be, is there any opportunity where we can test that?
Correct. That's what I'm saying. See, layers testing. That's what I'm saying. When I'm testing API, I'm going to test the API. But our QA engineers also test all the layers. For example, Kafka layer they test. Hmm? Like I told you. See, when you do a request, it goes to Apache Kafka topic. So what we used to do is we used to ask our QA engineers to create a test topic. So the developers used to direct the queuing to both the test topic and the real topic. And we used to read the test topic to check whether the JSON structure is correct or not, whether it is formatting correctly or not, and then go back and take the response. Okay, whether the response contains the actual value or not. So we used to test the Kafka layer, we used to test the API layer, we used to test the caching layer. The only thing that we never tested was the database, primarily because every hit to the database was a cost and the architects don't allow it. If database testing is required, yes, you can. Okay.
Okay,
But
okay,
yes,
sir.
if you want to do every layer testing 100%, you can do it.
But I
Okay.
think that is not. Do they expect every layer testing?
Your voice is so low.
Sorry, maybe
Um,
this one. What is the headset I have changed? Microphone.
yeah. Yeah. So did everybody complete this?
Yes, sir.
Everybody execute?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right. Hmm. Rupa, we'll take your questions after a bit. Okay.
No problem, sir. Now, am
Yeah.
I audible now?
A little slightly better. Yes.
Okay, maybe there's some issue with my different
Yeah.
headset. Okay.
Yes. I'll take your questions in a slight while. Okay. So we'll just proceed with optimizing further. If you observe, now let's take one by one. Now we have this our given. Okay. When, then, get, everything is there. Correct. Now what we can do is we can write a method, a generic or utility method that can actually do this part and return to us a response. Now you might say, why should I do it? The answer is, if you observe the entities, the APIs that we are testing here, you can see here, they all take, hmm, you can see here, right? They all take the same. So what we can do is we can write one helper. Okay. So under utils, what I'll do is I'll write one class. Okay. I'll call this as API helper under utils. I'm going to create one API helper. So what will I do here? I will say, for now, I'll put it as void. Okay. I'll call this as a get method. Okay. Observe the way I'm writing the method name. This is, you might say this is not again, this is not a convention. Normally you write like this. Okay. But because this is a specific helper utility, okay, I'm going to write it this way. This is how we normally follow. And to this, observe what are the things. This is a get request, right? So get request, what are the things we need? We need the path params and we need the header. Correct? Path params and header. All right. So I'm going to take the two path params for now. Okay. String. Okay. Param one. String. Param two. All right. So for now, let me do one thing. All right. String param1, string param2, string header. Or I can do it this way. Just observe. I'll put it as owner and repo. I'll just call owner and repo and the get request. And what I'll do is I will write all of this code in, I'll push this code into my helper. Okay. So owner, repo, I'll put it here. And I also need a, okay, string token. Sorry. Authorization bearer token. And obviously I need a URL, string URL. So all these inputs, if I give, it will do the get request. And what will it do? It has to return the response. It has to return the response. Okay. So now observe in our get request, the dot then is the validatable response. So what I have to do is I have to include the then here. So the dot then method is the one that returns to me the validatable response. The get method returns to me a response, and the dot then returns to me a validatable response. So I'll go to the helper and I'll say dot then, okay, dot then, and I will return this entire thing. So when I say return, it should change it to validatable response. Now I have a method, a helper, a utility method that takes some input and returns a validatable response output. Okay. So in my test class, this entire thing I will replace with that helper. Okay. Get method. I made this as static. So API helper dot get, and I will say, observe now, I'll say API helper dot get. Okay. Owner, I'll say owner. Okay. Repo, I'll give repo. Okay. Token, I'll give token and URL. Now, what does this return tell me? It returns to me a validatable response res. And then I can say res dot, then I can do all of this. Res dot, I can do all of this. Okay. So now you can see I have commented this code. I have reduced the repetition part. Only the validation part is left here. Okay. Only the validation part is left here. The actual execution part is now just this particular single line. Okay. And then we do the value. Now you can say, oh, why can't I validate also? Yes, you can write another helper utility function. But the point is, this part is common. This validation part may not be common. Okay. It may not be common. Why? Because when we are doing negative scenarios, for example, we have not yet constructed any negative scenarios yet. So, for example, if I do this negative scenario, then I'm going to get a 404 and the messages and everything will be different. So I cannot validate the same. Validation is specific to the test, but the request is kind of generic. See here also, here we are passing same. Okay. So do this, create a API helper. Okay. And put this code. Okay. Put this code and in the get, I want you to, for the first one, for the valid public repo, I want you to write this code. Okay. So let me just give you the API helper. You try this part. Okay. I'll give you the API helper in the Slack. Now you might be wondering, why do we need to do this? The answer is pretty simple, right? What is the answer? Repetition of the code is being minimized. Yes, you can see the number of lines of code is now minimized. All this, every time we were doing, you can see here, every time it will now be just one line. Okay, write out. API helper, put it in utils. And for the first get request, Just change it. I'll be back in just 30 seconds. Drink water and be back. Okay, done.
The API
Done.
help is copied over. We are just doing the GitHub Git repo
Okay.
test.
After this, what you should do, run and verify if it is working fine. Done? Okay. Running fine?
Yes, sir.
Sir, I'm getting some error.
Sir, but how to remember all these optimizations? Like the everyday step by step we are doing, we are just kind of evolving in this
Hmm.
framework.
Hmm. Correct.
Day one is not like the day seven. So, how to remember all these steps?
See, it's like this. Majority of the time, you have to just understand what are the stuff that are going into the framework. It need not be in the same sequence.
Okay.
And also, please understand, I'm showing you the process of a framework getting developed. But what
Oh,
happens is, in reality, there will be one senior person in the QA team who will
mm,
design this framework and keep all of this ready. And then you will start working on it.
okay, sir.
Okay. So what they would have done, they would have created all these utility functions. They would have created this form XML with all the dependencies. They would have created the base class. They would have added the reporting. Everything would be ready. You just have to start adding the tests and scenarios. Okay.
Yes.
Right. So Grishma, you had a doubt.
Yes, sir. I'm getting errors, sir.
Share your screen. We'll see.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
You
You
can
scroll up.
see my screen.
Yes. You have put this outside of the test method, ma. See that
Yes.
code that you have put, no, validatable response. It is outside of the flower bracket, no?
Yes.
Uh, that has to be within the test method.
Yes.
Ah, see? Now the
Yes.
rest of it is not used. You go scroll up. That part, rest assured dot. That is not required
Yes,
now.
sir.
Ah,
I should remove all this.
yes, yes. Remove it until the yes. Otherwise, the same API will be twice. Okay,
Okay.
remove that. Hmm. Done, huh? Others, all okay, all good.
Sir.
Okay, now the same thing for here also, right? Validatable response. Okay, res is equal to API helper, API helper dot get, and here we do the owner, then the private repo, okay, then token and URL, right? And I'll say res dot everything else. And I should also say JSON path, JPath is equal to this is the answer. Okay, write out, write out. Second. Done? Shall we take the next example? Yes, private repo is done, right? Did you run and check?
Yes, sir.
Others, yes, no, maybe.
Yes, please.
All right, the next example. Okay, observe. Next example. Here we don't have a header, right? This is without token. Now, the problem here is our method has four parameters: owner, report, token, and URL. The one that we are working with in this scenario is the one without the token. So what should I do now? I can't call that method, right? If I have to call that method, I have to pass the token. So what should I do now? The answer is you have to create a overloaded method without the token. Clear? This is how we do. Another utility function.
Sir, I
Yeah.
didn't get you. Can you come again? I missed
The scenario
the
is
problem statement.
get valid public repo without token, right? Now I need a generic get method, right? Like we have been doing here, API helper.get. But I cannot use the one which we already had created. Okay. I cannot use this. Why? Because I have to pass the
Don't have
token.
token.
Yeah. So now I want one without the token. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create an overloaded method. Method name is the same. Observe. Just the arguments have removed the token. And I've removed this dot header from here. So it was like this. Okay. I just removed the token. I copy pasted the same, removed the token and removed the header part. Now we have another get method which we can use in this particular case, right? So I'll say validatable response table response res is equal to API helper dot get the one with the owner, and this is a public repo, and the URL res dot log. Now if I run this, it should run fine. Absolutely. I Something went wrong. 404. That means the data here doesn't exist. What is going? September 301.
Private repo.
Oh, my bad. Public repo I should give. Correct. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Do the change. Now observe. Why am I asking you to do this? Now you already have this API helper, right? I've given you this file. Now what I want you to do is copy this and paste it here, make the modification. See, in the interview, as well as in real time, you will be involved in enhancing the framework. What is your role as an API automation engineer? See, one of the key things is you will have to create some utility functions like this. Okay. And you will have to also, excuse me, create some utility functions like these. The core structure of the framework will be ready. Some senior person will do it for you and they will keep it. The other thing is, okay, what is your role? Helper and utilities are your role. Apart from that, you are going to be creating your scripts. Okay, clear? Okay, that is why I want you to get a hang of this.
Sir, what is that exactly helper? Utility means all common functions we are
Sorry,
storing there. And now, what is
not able to hear you clearly.
yes, sorry.
Yeah,
What is helper here? So that utilities is all everything that is common generic will store there. And why this? Why there is separate helper?
see, the
Why?
helper would be specific to certain project. Okay, generic utils is generic. The generating a random number, you can use it for reading the properties file. You can use it for API. You can use it for Selenium. You can use it for anything. Correct. But the helper, API helper, is specific to certain request types and could also be specific to endpoints. Correct. Any other project, for example, regress. Let me take example of regress. Now I'm working on GitHub, right? Now if I go to regress, the regress parameters could be different, right? You understand, right? So we are doing a get request. I can further make this generic, of course. But the point is the API helper will help you exclusively work with your API requests, a helper utilities for API requests only, like get, post, put, patch, and delete methods with different combinations. Okay. Try it out. What are the two things you have to do? One is copy, paste, remove the token, and remove the header part. Then in your get, for the third scenario, you have to use that particular utility function. So let me keep it one below the other so that you can see it. Okay. So this is the other function. This is your test method. Try it out, try it out. Also run and let me Done?
Yes, sir.
Able to execute and everything working okay? Okay, now assignment for you. Now we have done for the get, correct? Now there is also a post. Do you remember there are scenarios for the post? Hmm? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. Now can you create a generic one for the post? Okay. If so, how to create? Okay. So we'll come back to this because this is going to take some time. The reason I'll tell you, we'll do this tomorrow. The reason is first up, we can do it for this one, right? Today itself, we'll do it for this one. Okay, very easy. We have to pass what are the arguments? We need to pass the organization, we need to pass the token, we need to pass the file. Correct? Yes or no? Right? So can we do this? We can. For example, I can go to the helper. Again, public static validatable response. This is the return, right? And I have to do a post. What are the thing it takes? It takes an organization. It takes a token. What else it takes? It takes a file
Or
input stream and it takes the URL. Yes,
yes.
you can see over here. Let me take the create. You can see it takes the file input organization, token, file input stream, and of course the URL. All right. So let me take the okay code and I'm going to put it here. Now this is a string. This is a string. This is a what? File input stream. This is a string. With me, everybody? Yes, no, I'm not really sure.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So for first one, it's very easy. All you have to do is, okay, if this is confusing for you, I'll put it this way so that you can see. Okay. So one line. Oh, let me. So you have the validatable response. This is a post method. It takes arg, token, file input stream as well as the URL. So arg, token, file input stream as well as the URL. And it returns the dot then validatable response. This one is very easy. I can just replace this entire stuff with, okay, API helper dot post. And what should I pass here? Org. Here I should pass token. Here file input stream. Here URL. And this will return to me table response res is equal to, okay, okay, res dot log all and everything. Okay, this will work. Now all you have to do is whichever is the file that you read, there could be different files. That's why we did not put the file input stream inside our helper. Why we did not put it? Because there is no guarantee that we'll always be using the create repo JSON only. There could be different JSON files that we could be reading. So the file that we are reading is a part of the test data. Listen carefully, very important. Okay. The part of the test data, the file that we are reading is a part of the test data. So we cannot keep that as a part of the helper because helper is generic and the data that we are reading is specific to this test. Another test, I might be reading different JSON file. So file input stream, I'm reading this file and I'm passing it to that particular function. And the particular function will do the post request and return to me the response. And if I run, it will fail, but still it's okay. Oh, it passed because I deleted the data. Okay, fantastic. All of you try this. This part is easy, but this part is not so easy. Can you tell me why? Here, what are the things that it takes? Tell me, what are the things? It takes the path parameter, it takes the
Token
token, and it takes an
serialization object.
object. Now, what type is the object? What type? GitHub, create, repo, Pojo. Yes?
Yes.
Hmm. There could also be another Pojo class possible for a different endpoint. Possible. There could be 10 different Pojos. So you cannot create 10 helper of post function, one for different Pojos. Right? Are you getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Is everybody able to get the point? Yes, no? Let me show you. Okay. But before I show you, first do this. All of you do this. Create the post request. All of you do this. I will send you this file also. Okay, don't worry. Slack, API helper, send. Okay. You can copy this code and paste it in API helper. Okay, I've sent it in the Slack. Okay.
Sir, please
And
send us
what
that
you
GitHub get report tests also that we have changed today.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay. Get repo test, is it?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
For previous one, I got one error, sir. It says
Hmm.
there is assertion error in GitHub get valid private repo.
Get valid private repo. Hmm. It could be that you are
Mm,
passing the wrong data. That's all. When you are passing the
check,
private
sir.
repo, it could be, yeah. Just check whether you are passing the private repo and you are passing the correct token. What is the error is? What is the status code? Okay. So now API helper, the post request. Okay. And what else do you need? Tell me. This is the post method and this is the test method. Okay. Try it out.
I'll share my screen, sir. There is no status
Yeah.
code, sir.
Share your screen.
This one.
Yeah. See, that's the point. You are validating the name. You are giving public repo and private repo. See, that's the point I'm trying to tell you. Line number 35, you're given public repo, right?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
I should give just repo.
Private repo you give, no? If you
Mm,
are, see, this test method is for private repo, right? So you should give private repo as input, no?
yes, sir.
Um,
Correct, sir.
Now it should work. Okay. All right. Try this out. Try this out.
Yes, working.
Okay, done.
Yes, sir.
All right. So, what is the challenge I told you? What is the challenge? Challenge is this one you cannot. Okay. So we'll see this tomorrow. The reason is right now, if I say object, I should mention. See, if I create a helper, okay, let me show you. If I create a helper, so here I should mention the type of object, correct? If I pass object here, obj, I should mention the type of object. What type should it be? Here it is GitHub create a repo Pojo, but I could have other Pojo classes as well. So I cannot say that it is of a specific type. I cannot say it will always be GitHub create repo Pojo only. Are you getting the point?
Yes,
Is
sir.
everybody getting the point?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you getting the challenge? So what should you do here? I'll give you a hint. Will you do the assignment? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Have you heard of this?
Generics.
Correct.
Yes, sir. In Java.
Yes,
Like I mean, yeah.
you should use generics here. How to do that? We'll see tomorrow. Okay. We can use generics and solve this problem. So right now, I'll just remove that, but I want you to try. Okay. You all know Java. I don't know. You know Java. I want you to try generics. Okay. That is the assignment for you. Create another post, which will take generic type of object, pass that, and then ask it to return the validatable response, just like this. Okay.
Yes.
That is the assignment for you. Let me zip today's code and we will
Sir,
see.
please also send that create report test as well.
I will send
Just
it.
for the
Sure.
reference.
So how many
Okay.
classes is pending, sir?
We should be finishing up this weekend, as
Right.
in Friday. By Friday, we should be finishing it up. Okay. So create repo you want, right?
Sir, we'll
I'll
have a
send
mock
the.
interview, sir.
Yeah, I'll give you some time. After that, you will have mock.
Sure, sir.
Create repo. Okay.
We'll
Friday is
start
the
up with
last,
the
sir.
Sorry.
Friday is the last class, sir.
Yes. Tomorrow we will finish off the framework part, and uh, Friday we will be discussing about some interview questions and everything.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
sure, sir.
All right. Try this out, generics, because this is the part that is pending. After this, what we have done, basically our framework is done and everything is done. We may add one scenario and then we'll see how to execute from pom.xml, because our intention is to execute the framework from pom.xml, not like testng.
Right.
We have to execute from pom.xml. So here we will be adding some plugin, Surefire plugin to execute our testng XML. We will include that and it will execute our framework. So tomorrow
So the
we
same
will
thing, right?
finish off
The
the framework.
pom.xml will be kind of, reaching out the testng.xml and we'll
Correct.
be right clicking and
Pom.xml will
Maven
execute
test.
testng. Testng will execute the rest.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Same thing that you do for any other Selenium or any other.
Yeah,
Okay.
Selenium with testng. That's what Bhanu
Yeah,
sir
yeah.
taught. Okay.
Same, exact same. Okay. See that those parts and all will not change based on the tool. Only the core
Yes, sir.
content inside is either Selenium or API. The
Yes, sir.
rest is
Yes,
same.
sir. Yes, sir.
All right. I've passed on the uh, create reporters, get reporters, and API helper. Okay. I
Yes.
want you to try the generics. Tomorrow we'll finish off the framework part. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.